one of the big learnings coming out of the pandemic, or before the pandemic, every company was starting to think about digital transformation and what that meant for themselves. But I believe that one of the things that really got clarified even during the pandemic was about how ready companies were with respect to that digital transformation that could materially help them, during those kinds of times. And those who had made a lot of progress versus those who had just got started, that became a very clear demarcation between companies, their own ability to withstand the pandemic. And one of the big accelerants that insight brought was the growth of cloud. Because before that, if you remember, even if you take organizations that was very much laptop or PC oriented, in their work streams. And I'm talking about BPOs, KPOs, various kinds of service organizations as well. And they were very centric to using local workstations and local applications, for their work. But as March 2020 changed all that. Suddenly, you had to work from home, you had to work remotely. The entire paradigm shifted. And one of the shifts of those paradigms is the future of work, and as we call it now. And it also became very clear that people will not come back to the office on a full-time basis, shifting to hybrid work, all of those things. Now, all of that requires you to deliver your experience to your employees through the cloud. And it also requires you to manage your own customers. And if you're a software company, you are delivering solutions to your customer. And so the accelerant became that, right? So cloud adoption has been, going up. Even in India, for example, the projection is by 2026, $13.5 billion of cloud spend. Public cloud spend will happen in India. That is, overall cloud includes public cloud plus on-prem cloud. That's why the number that you gave me in the beginning is really a large number. But what is really growing and accelerating is the public cloud adoption, even globally. If you look at it at the global numbers, 410 million was a 2021, 410 billion was a 2021 cloud spend, right? At a global level. In 2022, that number is projected to increase to $490 billion. So $80 billion of cloud spend increase in 1 year is over 20%, right? And India is tracking to that. So India also, I think 2022 projection for public cloud spend is about 7 billion, little over $7 billion. And then by 2025-26, we are expected to see about, almost $13 billion. So it's a fairly healthy growth of public cloud overall. Now, VMware is, we are in a very unique situation because we are not only the largest, private cloud provider in the world, right, as a software company, but and we have very large customers all over the market, all over the world, including in India. We also have a very deep set of partnerships with the public cloud providers like Amazon or Microsoft, Google, etc. It gives us a very unique perspective of watching these customers moving from, a lot of on-prem deployments, private cloud deployments, to utilizing public cloud. So that entire journey. And we have some insights, and I can certainly talk more in detail about what those insights are. But what I wanted to kind of bring that forward is we are in a very unique position to actually not only to understand some of the trends in the market, but also be able to cater to it in a unique way. And we call ourselves a Switzerland in the cloud space because we are the only neutral party that the customers have that has a partnership with all the cloud providers, and also the fact that we manage a lot of the deployments for our customers as well, because we are shifting to becoming a SaaS company ourselves. So we are seeing a lot of that. But so we have a very nuanced view on that front. The second big trigger that you asked me for cloud adoption is the shifting of applications. Because like I mentioned, a lot of companies and organizations around the world still had a lot of applications that were built in a different era. And cloud adoption gives you an opportunity to rebuild those applications or create new applications that will cater to their customers or business needs, which are cloud native. So make use of a lot of the advantages that cloud gives you. And even there, we see hundreds of millions of applications getting built every year, and many of our customers are in that journey right now. And I think that is going to be two big drivers, both digital transformation and new applications that cloud will derive. I think those two are big triggers for the growth of cloud globally. I think one of the opportunities that 5G gives, and that is something that we have been tracking for several years now, is the fact that the entire telco infrastructure is becoming a software-defined infrastructure. And that is what 5G does. So the transition from 4G to 5G is the fact that you now have a larger and larger part of the telco network, including the endpoints and the ORAN and a lot of those pieces, which are now becoming software defined. And they will require a cloud at the edge. So every telco tower will probably have a small data center running at the base of it that is actually going to be deriving and delivering a lot of these services. So VMware, not only do we bring the cloud expertise and what we call the software-defined cloud or the virtual the VMware Cloud Foundation, which brings the entire cloud stack, can be deployed anywhere. But we also have a telco organization as part of VMware that is looking at very specific applications of the telco cloud at endpoint at the service delivery level all the way back to their data centers. And we're working with a number of telco providers around the world on their 5G deployments and working with their not only them but their suppliers and software vendors on enabling a lot of these applications on our infrastructure. There were a lot of realizations as the pandemic hit and every organization started to work on these. One was, like I said, it drove everybody to cloud. And I think the cloud adoption is growing very rapidly. Second is their employees are now working remotely, which means that the attack vectors into their infrastructure has gone up dramatically, right? I mean, if when people are working inside the office building, it was easier to protect because you can actually put a network, the protection, security, etc. So the world is now moving towards what they're calling zero trust, which basically means that you treat any entry point into your network, whether it is somebody working from their home or working in a coffee shop, using their laptop or coming in through their mobile devices into your network to consume services or for their day-to-day work, you treat them inherently that they are, they could be a danger in terms of coming in. So that's, the paradigm of zero trust means that any entry point into your network, whether it is multi-hop, that is you're going from your home network to your VPN into your organization, you have to mitigate and manage that. And I think there's been a big shift on cybersecurity itself in terms of how you protect an environment and your employees in a way in which it's non-intrusive, which means that you don't have to remember 15 different passwords. You don't every hop is completely transparent. So today when we connect, I'm connecting from my home network, to do my work at work or from my phone. It is very transparent to me. There's a lot of things happening in the background. My device is now detected. There is a software installed on my device which tells my network that this is a known device that is coming in. Whereas if somebody comes in with an unknown device, if I take a brand new device and try to connect, a lot of services will not be available to me. So I may not be able to check my email. I may not be able to access files. But it will give me a sense, a little bit of experience that I may require, right? So there's a whole set of experiences from your user perspective, your employee perspective that can be delivered. Third is education, not only for you and your employees, and we do that constantly. For example, our IT department, our chief information security officer, and his team. There's a constant reminder to our employees in terms of how to avoid phishing attacks or what are some of the things we need to watch out for. If you're getting emails, things like that. So there's some of education and also your customers. I think there's a lot to be done in India also in helping people understand how to navigate, because as you rightly point out, we are doing so much of our mobile phones today, right? We're getting all kinds of SMSs, we're getting all kinds of emails. How do you keep a lens on it? I mean, phishing attacks are behavioral attacks, right? I mean, they try to convince you that something and message that you're getting for either an SMS or WhatsApp is actually a message that is coming from a trusted source. How do you help people understand that you don't click on every link that you get in SMS, or you get a message from your bank and that could be actually be a a fake message, right? And you click on a link, and you get compromised. Or if you're using UPI to pay, how do you detect that you are actually going to do a payment rather than you're enabling somebody to pull money out of your account, right? So there are some of these things are education, and that's a constant thing that continues to happen and needs to happen, because we are moving very rapidly as a country to a digital country. And part of that is there are a lot of goodness that comes with it, but there is also needs to be a focus on how do we educate our users, educate our general public citizens on how to mitigate this. But technology plays a massive role on the back end to enable a lot of these things to happen through being completely unintrusive. A lot of things are happening behind every organization's network. The banks, and we work very closely with some of the largest banks in India, right? And we are a partner of theirs on the infrastructure, both on providing the digital infrastructure. They're helping them with their cloud journey, as well as we have products in the cybersecurity space that are both at the network level as well as an endpoint level. So we are product, and these are AI-driven, security features in the products that we have. I like to think of myself as an inclusive leader. I'm quite, inclusive but decisive. I like to hear a lot of perspectives. I actually encourage people to disagree with me a lot of times in my own teams. I like to hear the contrarian point of view. But at the end of the day, I have a fairly strong perspective in terms of how to move forward. Okay, so I'm not. So I like to be inclusive when I hear different perspectives, different points of view. But then I form my own point of view in terms of how things need to be taken forward. So that's one part to this. And then how do you bring others along with you once you make up your mind how you want to take your organization forward? So the other side to this is communication, explaining to people why we need to move forward in a certain direction, and then aligning people structurally towards getting things done. So strategy and execution, needs to go hand in hand, and that's the way I like to operate. I form an opinion, I validate and invalidate it by listening to various perspectives. Then we agree on a path forward, and then we figure out an execution model to make it happen, and then we measure it to understand success and where things are working, not working, and things like that. Yeah, so there's obviously as VMware, we are very aligned in terms of what is happening in the digital space, and very focused on helping our customers through their cloud journey, including providing their every aspect of helping them manage their cloud journey across the board, whether it is in providing the ability to move from on-prem and private clouds to the public cloud and back. Second is on this management infrastructure that is required to manage multiple clouds, so multi-cloud, that is emerging. So every organization, most organizations have at least one to two clouds that they're using at any given time, more than one cloud actually. And our focus is on multi-cloud and how do we help our customers through that journey. So there is, and then of course the security and the employee experience and the end user experience, as we call it. How do we help them through all of that? So VMware as a company is very focused on what is emerging from a digital trends perspective. But wearing an industry hat beyond VMware. So I'm part of the NASSCOM's Executive Council. And so I have a perspective and a point of view in terms of how we are as an ecosystem in India that is evolving. I also chair the NASSCOM Product Council. So one of the big trends that we are seeing on that front is emergence of deep tech in India. So in the past, AI and ML was always discussed as two separate things. I mean, it's a separate piece that was happening. But today we are seeing some very, very exciting companies and solutions that are starting to emerge that cut across various domains. So whether it be in cybersecurity, whether it be in agriculture, whether it be in autonomous vehicles, drones, space, recently we saw a couple of stories around, Indian companies launching rockets, right? Skyroot just did one. We have other companies. So we are seeing a big emergence of deep tech companies from India. There are about 3,000 deep tech companies today. NASSCOM Deep Tech Club has about 1,000 of these. That our goal is to enable 1,000 plus deep tech startups. We have about 250 to 300 startups already in our fold.